Hello, everyone. My name is Mark Graham, and I am one of the co-founders of commonsku. And we are so excited to welcome you to this very special event on mastering the art of creative kidding. We are so fortunate to be joined by some of the leading experts in kidding strategy, design, and logistics. You are in for such a treat when you hear what our guests, Stefan Baer, Lee Fine, Yvonne Linga-Zeman, and Bobby Lehue have to share with you today. We are proud to present this event with our good friends at S&S Activewear. A very special thank you to James Andres, Mark Vituli, and Aaron Kanata for all of their hard work in helping us to co-produce this awesome event. For those of you that are part of the commonsku community, a very warm welcome to you. And for those of you that are new to commonsku, we are a business management software platform designed specifically for the promotional products industry. Supporting modern and entrepreneurial companies in this industry is extremely important to us, which is why we are sharing this content with you here today. Our home for the next hour or so is the Hopin platform. You just need to be aware of the main stage where you are right now and the networking area. Our conversation will take place on the main stage for about 40 minutes, at which point we will turn things over to the one-on-one networking session, where we encourage you to share all that you've learned with others at the event. It's always a ton of fun. Please pose any questions that you have through the chat feature. We may not have time for all of your questions today, but they are very, very helpful as they serve as a guide for what others are thinking during the event. Quick housekeeping announcement. We strongly encourage you to use Hopin on either your desktop or laptop computers in either Chrome or Firefox browsers. If you happen to be watching us right now on a tablet or a smartphone, some parts of the program, specifically networking, will likely not work. So this is just a friendly heads up. We are very excited about the awesome Richardson caps that S&S is giving away to 100 lucky winners. Just a heads up that the winners will be notified following the event. And on that note, I'd like to welcome my colleague, Bobby Lehue, commonsku's Chief Content Officer, who will be leading this dynamic conversation. Have an amazing day, everyone. Thanks so much for being with us.
Hey, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to go ahead and bring Yvonne, Lee, and Stefan to the stage because we're going to jump right into it. So thank you again for attending. There are somewhere around 1,000 plus of you joining us today. So it's exciting to have you hang with us. And Yvonne and Lee, Stefan, thank you guys for joining us. I know I speak on behalf of everyone when I say thanks for being willing to share your expertise. I know you all have had a crazy year and you had some crazy kidding experiences. So we're going to dig into that, but welcome everybody.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
I'm going to jump right into this. So let's start with strategy. The client's purpose and mission is always very intentional around kits. It's interesting how the promotional products game and kitting has elevated due to this. Kits are very purpose driven for a brand. Each time we get a request for a kit, it's usually mission critical. So they will say something like, hey, we want to do something special to recognize our employees or connect our employees while they're working from home, or maybe they're launching some big new sales initiative. Yvonne, can you, for those that are kind of new to kits, or maybe for those that have limited experiences with kits, can you quickly riff off the type of campaigns and purposes that your clients have approached you for kits?
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to share all of my wisdom. Hopefully you guys have some good takeaways today. So for proactive, we will get requests for a lot of product launches, whether it's food, beverage, product. That's a huge one for us. And then we also have done a few things with TV series. Again, that was through an agency. And so I think we got access to a lot of really sexy brands through having agency relationships. I think we started doing kits in like 2016. And then we've also done like the standard, like the new hire kits, sales. Thank you for attending. Morale boosters has been a huge one lately. Sweepstakes, snack packs, holiday gifting, employee baby gifts. And then the two that I was thinking about that I think have opportunity for people to be proactive, and I meant it bespoke, those are the ones that we get requests for. The proactive ones that we go after now, the two, a lot of people are hiring right now. So onboarding kits are really big. And then also a lot of people are rebranding. So I think that there's an opportunity to redo all of their swag and then deploy it to individuals or offices and things like that.
That's a great opportunity to get new business around the product. When folks rebrand, that's actually the most vulnerable time for an incumbent and the best opportunity for you to win new business when they're in the process of rebranding.
And then one last thing I would say too, if you're just getting into it, I would start with what we kind of call enhanced products. So you take an item, add a pouch to it, and you kind of have like a mini enhanced product where you've added a piece of packaging to something. And then obviously somebody has to fill that, and then you could potentially obviously provide that solution as well. So I think starting small, insert cards, things like that, and then build upon that as you get more experience.
Yeah, that's cool. Lee, how about you? What types of kits are you seeing?
I'm just going to go with Yvonne's answer. Literally, it's everything she said. It's such a, there's no kind of continuity between the requests. They're different every time. We work with, like Yvonne, we work with such a grab bag of diverse clients that to say there's one standardized system would be unfair because there's really not. So we are seeing a lot of, as she mentioned, the new product launches or new branding. I would say that the ratio between internal and external for us, at least as far as giveaways with fulfillment kitting projects, is probably 70 to 30, 70% being internal. So these are clients really wanting to maintain some sort of culture and vibe within their people, and consistently giving them something that is going to keep them kind of on brand and feeling like a part of that corporate family when they're working from home.
Okay. Stories, and I'm sure we're going to get into this today, is the Boston Marathon project, where you had 30,000 packages that were shipped, not just once, but twice internationally. Yeah. So we're going to dig into some details about that just to tease that out a little bit. Stefan, SNS does tons of kitting projects. You obviously ship thousands upon thousands of packages annually. What kind of projects are you guys seeing? Anything different than what already has been spoken, or anything that you're seeing an increase in?
Yeah, so traditionally, as a supplier, we've always been contacted for your traditional kits of how can I get more for less? So it's like a net, like headwear, t-shirt, and a bag to put it in. But in 2020, what we really saw was kind of an emotional shift with the pandemic hitting. People started taking a step back and saying, we need to regroup, right? And that regrouping brought creativity and, the boxing process. And then people started coming to us for finer goods. So the premium market is up. And so a lot of projects, when it came to, hey, we need to transition our employees home, let's make them comfortable when they arrive. So these are the kits that blankets and comfortable sweatshirts and joggers, but those type of products. So I'm coming at it from a product perspective of what people are asking for to put in the kits. Where Yvonne and Lee are building those kits. And then what we also saw was, how do we stay in touch to bring reality home, right? We're thinking of you. And so we started packaging more and more brands with other brands that created that fit, that emotional kind of, when it arrives, somebody feels like, wow, I'm not alone, right?
Right.
So those are the projects that really started evolving from the distributor base with the questions coming to our sales team.
I like the idea of building, Stefan, I like the idea of building brand affinity, matching brand to brands. That's really good. Lee, let me ask you this, outsource or in-house? And if outsourced, what have you learned about working with a kitting partner on a project? Are there any tips you can share?
Yeah, so the answer for us is both. We do our smaller kind of white glove fulfillment projects in-house, and our larger fulfillment projects is outsourced. For a couple of reasons. One, we're based in Seattle. We've got a couple of salespeople around the country, but shipping everything, whether you're going domestically or internationally, shipping everything from Seattle is not always the best case. So, and also we don't have a 200,000 square foot warehouse. So that's a missing component too. But the outsource for us, and it's funny because the word outsource, it feels dirty to me because it feels foreign. We truly have a partner that we've used for several years. They manage our online store programs as well that we have with clients. Yeah. But it's really navigating this. We've kind of created this system together. We were their foray into fulfillment projects when they were really comfortable doing programs. And so we've kind of figured out this way that works, garbage in, garbage out. So spreadsheets. And it's us and our sales team kind of working with our clients to explain the right way we need to receive data for it to properly ship via UPS or FedEx, something that our clients really never think about, but also something we didn't really understand. So, going back to that Boston Marathon example you brought up with 33,000 packages, no human is going to sit there and kind of navigate that spreadsheet to make it shipping worthy. So we have to really educate ourselves, learning what the fulfillment partner needed, and then the client and understanding how they were going to kind of give it to us.
Yeah. Was that a smooth process, or by this time you've honed that down to a system and you're pretty adamant about your system, the way it needs to work, and you work with the client to help them understand that?
We're pretty adamant about our system, but if I'm being completely transparent with you, just this morning I was scrubbing a spreadsheet we got from our wonderful partner at Levi's, who sends us spreadsheets that are not in the right system, but that was only 50. So we can, thank God for YouTube how-tos to really give you a tutorial on how to navigate broken spreadsheets. But ideally we do educate our clients, especially with that Boston Marathon project. There was no way we could have received that not in the format we specifically requested to do.
Yeah, this is one of those opportunities too, where the client is looking for your guidance. So often in our industry, we are doing whatever the client tells us to do, and we say we'll handle it the way they want us to handle it. But in this instance, I've learned that the best folks that are doing kitting and fulfillment, they come with a system, they help the client on board with that system, and they walk through that. And I love what you said about your trusted partner. Just for folks that are attending, not only will we be publishing this, we will be sharing with you a list of resources. So if you're looking for resources on partners and kitting and things like that. Yvonne, how about you? Outsource or in-house? I think you've done a little bit of both. Mm-hmm. And what tips do you have for either or both?
I'm a huge advocate for internal. We also don't have projects that range in like the 35,000 piece. So I would agree with Lee that if you do get a project that big, I would absolutely outsource that. And you should be flying to your fulfillment house if that's the case. Yeah. And you get projects like that. But for us, I'm a huge advocate of in-house. And then one thing we've done is we've done fulfillment for another promotional company. So we were the third-party kitting partner. And the way that kind of worked out is, so we require that we do the packaging. If we're doing the fulfillment, we must do the packaging. You can send us all the other merchandise. We've only done this twice, and we did it for learning reasons. I do not understand how someone maintains a good relationship with an outsourced partner with all of the stuff that goes wrong. Things show up that aren't expected. Things don't arrive on time. The client increases the quantity. The quality of the imprint needs to be replaced. So we've been on the receiving end of that merchandise, which was really good to learn. And I just don't understand how you don't put strain on that relationship. So for us, we've done internal. I think a few things to think about when doing internal is where you're located. If you're in an urban area and you're in a high rise, that might not be the best solution. You might have access to a freight elevator and a dumpster, but like, how are you going to get things up and down? We've done fulfillment out of hotels, homes, high rises, and then we're migrating things over to a warehouse, the loading dock, just because it's easier. And then for people that are kind of starting out, if you wanted to outsource, I would kind of recommend doing something where a print partner who would also do fulfillment with you. I think that's a huge advantage to having those both in the same house. Let me go back to my notes really quick. And then for internal, a few other pointers that I wanted to mention were, hiring contractors, right? Something to consider. We use a service called trustedherd.com. A friend of mine launched it. It's a pool of brand ambassadors that are looking for extra work. They get paid hourly. We pay between $20 and $25 an hour. And a tip for bringing in a contractor, we do have an agreement. It's project-based. One tip for hiring contractors is that if you give them 8 hours to complete a project, they're going to take 8 hours. So what we started doing was saying, you'll get paid the 8 hours. If you can get it done sooner, you can leave, and we're still going to pay you the full amount that we committed to. And
Love
people
that.
started kind of like increasing their speed. And then the last thing that I wanted to talk about was just basic equipment for that, which would be, I have a list for you guys. So it's a table setup, a thermal shipping printer, box cutter, tape gun. We have a heat press just in case we get in a bind. Scale, dolly, wet tape machine is crucial. Measuring tape. And if you can get all that down, you can do fulfillment.
Yvonne, I'm going to add your list to our follow-up post, so folks will get that in an email as well.
Yeah.
I'm sure you sign an NDA as you're doing work for other distributors, or maybe that was a close friend. Is that what you've kind of done in the past?
Yeah, I should rephrase. So it was for the client. I don't know if the other distributor knew that we were doing the fulfillment.
Okay, got it.
So it was just, yeah.
Okay. One of the things that you just mentioned, I think, is vitally important. You talked about your partners in terms of folks that you're hiring to do kitting. Let's talk about pricing for kitting real quick, because this is obviously the most important aspect of it. I sat by two leaders in our industry at once, and it was a real eye-opener to me. I always loved kitting projects. When I was a distributor, I loved them. It was a great profit center. The customer loved you for it. The ROI was amazing. Yes, they were intense, but they were really an important part of the partnership with us and clients. So I love them. And I sat by these two leaders and they said, we love them too. And these are folks that are running, they're happy to sell $30,000 worth of merchandise, but they're also very happy to sell $30,000 worth of kitting projects too. So let me ask you, and let's start with you. Have you come up with a formula for pricing your kitting projects?
We do. So we have a formula based on time. So, if you're doing a fulfillment project that has 6 items, there's not just the time of kitting those into the vessel that it's shipping out in, but it's also the time of preparing those to be ship ready. So especially drinkware, it comes with a lot of different protective items within a box to keep it safe and avoid breakage, which makes sense. But that's part of that time. So little things that our clients don't really think about that obviously we have to think about to give it an accurate price. And then once we have that time from soup to nuts, we're able to establish a price that we have a formula for it and quote the client on that. Plus there's the shipping box, there's the other supplies that Yvonne kind of rifled off that is kind of broken in and amortized into that price as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. How about you, Yvonne?
Yeah, we bucket it. So we put a bucket of like packaging, anything we wouldn't break down, any non-inclusions. So there's like packaging, the insert if there's one, the custom box if there's one, custom tape, all that good stuff in one bucket. We put all of the inclusions in a different bucket. And in the top bucket, I should say that there's like fulfillment costs in there as well. And then we add some additional kits because we want overruns. We send all of our clients one extra kit just so they have it as like a badge of honor. And then we, from like a pricing structure, if you're thinking about common SKU, we put together that first and second bucket into one price. And then we do separate out setups, inbound shipping. We separate because it's such a price driver. So we didn't want to include that in the price of the kit. And then we separate out the shipping, the outbound shipping to individuals or to offices. And then we also charge a management fee sometimes depending on what the project entails.
Yeah, I love that. I would echo both of what they said. I add creative and strategy on the front end is one of the aspects we typically miss. One of the misses we also do with kitting projects is the admin oversight from usually our most expensive team member, colleague, if you will, is actually navigating this whole project from beginning to end. And their time is typically not accounted for. Sometimes we account for that in the sale of the merchandise. But all the touches from receiving to staging to assembly to packing to outgo, storage if possible, if you have any of that left over, and then distribution and reporting. But we'll provide this in a follow-up. Yvonne, I'm curious, what's the most complex, difficult, or favorite kitting project that you've done?
So favorite kitting project. So I wanted to show you guys what it looked like. So what I did is I posted some photos to our Instagram story right before this. So if you go to Monarch & Co. on Instagram and look at our story, there's an El Tesoro kit that is on there. And let me just pull up photos so I can walk you through it really quick. So the reason I love this is because I think it shows the power of packaging. It's a very sleek black box, flawed one color imprint. but then you open it up, and we used a second smaller box to almost create like an insert. So we didn't want the actual insert in there because I think those are really just a different beast, because that's more science, I think, than art. And so for the creative people, we want to stay on the art side. And so we put the small box that matched the outer box in the middle. And then we use like that wood, it's like a wood filler instead of crinkle. We don't recommend it. Anna says that she still has wood shards, I think, in her wedding ring from it. So be careful when you're using that stuff. But we put it in there. And then it's for El Tesoro, which is a Mexican distillery. And they wanted us to recreate the game Loteria, which actually started in Italy, moved to Spain, and then finally Mexico in 1796. No one has standard Loteria games, so we custom made it from scratch. Custom pouch. I believe the client did the artwork, and then we printed everything shrink wrapped. We have some spices in there, Takis, Topo Chico, Fever Tree. I love the project because they came to us with a really big problem. We solved it through packaging, through creative, through layering packaging in the box. And I personally think that's how you have retention in clients, is the more sort of like complex that you make the project. I think it's harder for clients to leave.
Yep.
We had some Mexican candies in there and things like that. So I personally liked it because it really pushed our team, and the product didn't have a lot of promo in it. You know, there was a game, but it had a lot of other like retail elements in it. So that was probably my favorite.
Lee, how about you? Favorite? Complex?
There's definitely the Boston Marathon for sure is by far the most complex, just because it was 87 countries around the world. But before I got into it, I was gonna back up. We did a self promo to clients. This is before COVID started. So we sent a box out. Is it reading upside down or is it reading straight forward?
No, it's reading straight.
Okay. And we sent this to our clients and then asked them to go on social for a discount on their next kitting project. So I feel like sometimes we have to, it's why I'm sure Stefan will agree, why they send samples out of many of our vendors to help entice us and get us excited about products. So we did the same thing, because if we're not doing kitting projects for ourselves, how are we gonna just convince them based on our work? The Boston Marathon project was the most complex. There's a couple of projects that were the most fun. This is what we did for Google when they launched Google Home, and they were doing a celebrity influencer gift to these guys to get them to speak about it on social. So this is the box. What's cool about this is that it opens up like so, and then inside would sit. So let me do it the right way so you could see the welcome home. The beauty of this little vessel, and I always love these projects, no merchandise. So it's a kitting project that we couldn't screw up because it was going to, celebrities and people around the country, influencers. And not to knock any vendors out there who are trying to sell merchandise by any means, obviously love merchandise projects. But when we do projects that we can really show our creative and design, that's kind of very exciting to me, because I love that it's a point of difference that many distributors really aren't focused on. They're always wanting to sell merch, which I get and I understand why, but there are project opportunities that don't include merch that are really healthy pieces of business. The Boston Marathon project for sure was our most complex. I think with this one, if you could see that QR code over there, Amazon was ultimately the client, as they were the sponsor for Boston Marathon, and they wanted to drive traffic back to their site. So we created a QR code where the athletes can click on there with their phone and then get specific discounts for running gear. We often do website, going back to your question, Bobby, about getting that data in, or how we making this process easier for our clients. Whenever we have variable data, because we do web development in here, we'll make splash pages where we will capture client or internal contact information. So when you're doing t-shirts or anything with sizing, the end user has an opportunity to go in and put their size, and that's another of column for our spreadsheet to make sure that the right user is getting the right size garment.
This goes into the complexity issue too. The more you can build into both a tactile experience and a digital experience and match them together, have them going back and forth. I mean, I know these things are really difficult, but the more complex they are, just the higher value. And the client, the value is infinite to the client. It's just amazing, the ROI. Stefan, how about you? What is one of the coolest or most interesting or complex projects you guys have worked on at SMS?
I mean, I would have to go with the most interesting because, we partner with our brands all the time and then do these campaigns to put something out. And independent trading had come to us, and we had formed literally a mini surfboard that you opened up, and the wave wash materials were in there with a welcome note and a thank you note, and then detailing the item. But it was such a phenomenon when it arrived because it was not an overly big box, but when you opened it and pulled this thing out, you're like, wait a minute, this is a surfboard. And I mean, these were shipped to New Jersey and Michigan and, not just California. And, it started kind of a social media hit for us. People were literally videoing themselves trying to surf the kitted box, right? And so that was really neat. And still to this day, you can see showrooms out there with that display on. And there's so many brands now that are building kits to become a display in a showroom from a brand perspective. And so it's converted that way. Other uniqueness, a lot of people are looking for sustainable materials. Mm-hmm. They're looking, a lot of our brands are really smart. They realize you may be opening the bottom of the box to unbox it. So the brand is right there, both on the front and the back.
Yeah, smart.
And so it's just, it's a great vehicle because our customer base looks forward to these kits.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And so they just get more and more creative with all of our brands pushing it. Our marketing team and fulfillment team does such a great job. It's a lot of fun.
That's cool. We don't have time to get into today, but we do have on our podcast, the SKUcast. If you're new to commonsku, we do have a packaging sustainability expert joining us on a future episode. That if you want to keep an ear out for that, we're going to get more into sustainability and packaging eventually too. Plus, we'll talk about the Sustainability Summit here in a minute. Lee, you shipped 30,000 packages. What stunned me about this project for them is that your error rate. It was like less than 0.5% or something. I don't remember.
It was crazy. Yeah. I mean, you and I talked about this on your podcast, and I feel like it's if I was a betting man, I am a betting man, I definitely would have bet against this success rate, because we had, again, 87 countries and we had less than 3% not deliver. 0.3% not deliver.
Yeah.
It was a very healthy project from a dollars and cents perspective. I will tell you, however, the amount of time that was put in from our team, it probably, cost average out to a loss. And I say that, jokingly, but just because of what we specifically talked about, we shipped to countries that we never had shipped to before, and we had no idea how their customs duties and taxes work. Yeah. And so, Costa Rica is the one that was the funniest, just because of how addresses are recorded there. It's a number, it's a street, and then there's directions like 30 paces past the fire hydrant on the left. I know that like FedEx, when they ship, they'll outsource to a third party in a lot of these, in the middle of nowhere of these foreign countries, and who know the lay of the land. So that helped us. But getting to those people and helping navigate how to understand directions and addresses was so time consuming. We had to ship, of the 33,000 packages, we probably shipped, I'd say 35,000 total, because there's an extra 2,000 where certain countries, Brazil, it's a very corrupt customs situation. And it depends on who's working that day. Boxes just disappear. And the only way to get them to people is to just try again. So we had between, a handful of countries where we just had to ship more. And I think Yvonne touched on this with ordering overs. It's so important. We all know now that getting custom packaging done, the lead time has stretched so much further than it was pre-COVID, that if you have to, or it's going to erode your margin a little bit more, but it's worth it, because the time that it might take, especially if it's time sensitive with a launch date, waiting to get an extra 30 boxes that you might need is going to crush you. So depending on the total volume, order overs, you're going to need them.
Now that we're seeing fuel costs increase, freight is getting expensive again. Do you get pushback from clients on freight? Freight is expensive. Yvonne, you want to tackle that first? Then we'll go to Lee.
Yeah, I think originally, so when COVID hit, we immediately, our orders shifted from 500 t-shirts to 1 or 2 offices to 500 t-shirts to 500 locations. And so we've been doing a lot of like fulfillment. And there was a sticker shock I think at first, so we got set up with Shipping Easy. So we get discounted rates now. And then, so we mark that up now, I think by like 50% or so. Yeah. And then, because we're shipping to homes, and I think over time people have gotten used to it. We still get pushback with international shipping. And one way we've combated that is to request, we don't try to defend it. It's true. It is expensive. And we say, yes, this is the cost, and we can ship on your account. If you prefer, if you get a better rate. And that's really kind of the only solution that we've come up with so far.
Yeah. I know freight is a profit center. I don't want folks to forget that. It is a profit center. Lee, how about you?
Yeah, for us, it's kind of a combination between leveraging our buying rates with freight and our fulfillment partner. So their shipping, they once showed me their monthly bill average, and I was just dumbfounded, in the millions per month because of the volume that they're shipping. So what we often will do is show clients that their price that we quoted them is still less than listed price on FedEx.
Yeah, that's what we used to do too. Yeah, I love it.
This project shipped on Amazon's account, and I have no idea how much freight costs for $35,000 packages around the world. I can tell you that for a brief time in my life, I worked at Amazon, and I was able to leverage their shipping rate to ship personal things back home on the East Coast. And what it was, that price compared to what I was shipping it was almost unbelievable. So I know that Amazon's bill was pretty hefty there, but they saved significant dollars by taking on that, that fee. Our buying rates, even at Juice, is still considerably better than most of our clients. Freight is a weird thing because sometimes it's a hot button for clients, and other times it's okay. Yeah, there's freight. Cool.
Agreed. Yeah. Yeah. And your advice on sharing with them what retail price is with freight, so they can at least understand some context that you are passing along those bulk savings. And then same thing with fulfillment fees. We used to use Amazon's fulfillment fees as a way to compare our fulfillment fees or packing fees or kitting fees. And we actually had a great profit on it and still came under what were standard fulfillment fees. So it's a good thing to do.
Amazon being really expensive from a list price, because it benefits us when we're trying to resell it.
Yeah. One of the most crucial aspects of any kitting campaign is managing the client expectations, deliverables, communication. Lee, what tips do you have when it comes to communicating with the client in a complex multi-part campaign with all these moving parts?
Sure. I really feel like it's no different how we communicate with a client on a custom project that doesn't involve fulfillment. So over communication, create timelines. So timelines are huge because again, Yvonne touched on this, but you've got things coming inbound. You've got things that need to be stored because there's a delay in shipping, and it's constant conversation and communication to the client. So we always press here that even when you don't have new news to share, tell that to your client. I'm letting you know I do not have an update. As soon as I do, I will inform you, because at least they can sleep well at night knowing that you're on top of it. That's our goal, is to take that pressure off them. But it's really, larger projects will always include a timeline, and we will update that timeline and make it a pretty little, design with our design team to just show them your thing is on track. Your project isn't on track. Here's why. Here's what we're doing to fix it. But communication.
I love that. Update them even when there's not an update. That's fantastic. Yvonne, how about you?
I agree that I don't think our communication is much different than normal projects. We launch live trackers so that we don't have to continuously update them. We haven't used the common SKU feature yet for that. So we currently use Google Sheets. And then, I would say over communicating. If you can get away with providing ship dates versus delivery dates, I think that is something that has saved us kind of in the past if there's not an event, because you can kind of work with your supplier partners to control production timelines. But then, shipping, I think, has been kind of a wild card lately. So if you can say, and especially with clients getting approvals, they want to say, like, okay, if we give you approval by this date, when can you deliver? And I say, if you give me approval at this date, this is when I can ship. And so, like, I try to, because that's the only part I can control. So I think with client communication, I think the mindset of having the projects back versus having, like, the individual clients back is kind of a shift that I'm trying to make. Because our philosophy has always been to not bother the client, don't go back to them, try to figure it out yourself. You want them, you want it to make it seem like you got your shit together and everything's under control. But what I think that's done over a period of time has created a lot of fear. And so I would say with client communication, I think they kind of appreciate when you get a little, like, gritty with them, because I think it does show that you are working hard and you got it under control and things like that. So I would echo what you said.
I agree. I don't think we have to do this anymore too. I want to add that often with a client, helping them understand that there will be things going wrong. Here's how we're going to address them when they do is one of the most important things, I think, especially on the front end of a project. Okay, we only have about a minute or so left. And let's, if you don't mind, share your last thoughts on ROI and just how you feel about the kitting experience overall and what you feel like it can really do for folks that are listening in terms of offering that as a service. Stefan, let's start with you.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, we're really looking at, like, the kitting experience. We're in it for the long haul because, we want that box to become a display. We want that item that was sent to be used, and the logo set right. And so the return on the experience or return on investment is really, you have to go in from our point of view, looking for the long term, right? To really establish the unboxing experience and creating that memorable experience. So
yeah, I love that. We didn't even have time to get into about the unboxing, but that's everything, that moment that we're creating. Lee, how about you?
I say it all the time. We eat with our eyes first. And so that experience has to be our, that unboxing. Someone wants to feel special. We all order stuff from Amazon or a variety of things online at home. And usually it comes with just a plastic, Mylar bag, which is fine, but that's not the business we're in. So we're trying to create an experience that someone would have had in person or in office that they're not able to have, at least right now. Obviously things are changing, but so every details matter, and being creative and creating an experience is key.
Yeah. Yvonne?
I think it opens up a lot of opportunities to push your employees. I think that there is a client experience to be appreciated, and I think that it can provide retention in clients, referrals. I think it can attract talent when you're showing off these really cool projects. And I think that there's a sense of pride when someone that works with you can say, like, I created this whole thing, and I figured out how to package this and how to design this and all, like, the stuff that goes in behind the scenes. I think that is, like, the best part of kitting.
Yeah. Love it. Well, guys, thank you so much for being a part of this experience. I mean, we obviously could have gone on for another 20, 30 minutes at least, if not an hour, to talk about just the complexity around this and the services. But thanks for being willing to share out of your expertise. Nobody's getting paid to do this. These folks are just showing up to help. And I can't tell you how thankful.
Wait, what?
And I know I speak. Yeah. It was it. I thought we put that in the fine print in the contract, Lee, but maybe we
have
didn't.
To read those contracts.